Focused and fearless, here's everything you need to know this rush hour of May 29, Wednesday. I'm Riza Diaz. Kicking off today's rush with President Duterte setting foot on the land of the rising sun for the third time as an official trip. We have Gemma Vansenia reporting live in Tokyo to give us an update. Gem, what's the latest?
Riza, 9:52 last night when President Rodrigo Duterte arrived in Haneda International Airport here in Japan. He and his delegation were welcomed by some Japanese government officials. He will be staying here until June 1 for his working visit. Today, he's scheduled to attend a business forum and then meet with officials of some Japanese companies. Meanwhile, Japanese Ambassador Jose Laurel's statement received reactions from cabinet members. On yesterday's press con, Laurel said this trip may be the president's pabuya or gift to the cabinet members after the midterm elections. But according to spokesperson Salvador Panelo, the palace does not share the same position with Laurel since the cabinet members were prohibited by the president to campaign for the administration candidates during the last elections. Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea also said each members have trade missions on this trip. Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol also defended his presence, saying he's part of the delegation because the president wanted to bring up agriculture issues during the visit. Riza, also with the president, is his common law wife Hanilet Avancenia, incoming Senator Bongo, and other local officials. Riza?
Thank you, Gem. That was Gem Avancenia reporting live from Tokyo. Now, before leaving for Japan, President Duterte dismissed speculations about his health during the oath-taking of the newly appointed officials in Malacanang on Monday. That's after the chief executive appeared weak during the PMA graduation rites in Baguio City last Sunday. Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Boy Locsin defended the president, saying the president is sick and tired of being asked questions about his health by those who wish him ill. And Duterte himself says enough is enough.
Lahat na ng sakit na tinatapon na sa akin, kulong, Sabi ko tinanong ko yung Diyos Sabi ko, God, ano ba itong presidency? Patagalan sa mundo? O patrabaho tayo dato, and by the time we become unproductive, we should go out of this universe.
Over at the lower house, the speakership race for the 18th Congress is heating up. And ousted House Speaker Pantaleon Alvarez claims contenders have already resorted to vote buying for as much as 1 million pesos. Patricia Mangune has the story.
There are already 4 contenders vying for the position of House Speaker in the upcoming 18th Congress, namely incoming Leyte Representative Martin Romualdez, former House Speaker Representative Pantaleon Alvarez, former Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano, and Marinduque Representative Lord Alan Velasco. But Congressman Alvarez says the tight competition has led to vote buying among House Solons to the tune of between half to 1 million pesos. However, lawmakers from both sides of the aisle refuse to confirm Alvarez's allegation.
Alam mo naman dito sa Congress, lahat ng klase ng chismis ay gumagala. I respect the decency and dignity of our members. Kaya hindi ako aamin na may mga nangyayaring ganyan. Unless, however, that I see it with my own eyes and I experience it personally.
Wala pa kaming personal na karanasan at this point, no? At palagay ko kung saan yun nakuha ni dating Speaker Bebot, siguro may batayan siya. Pero kung kami, even among, wala sa isang man sa amin na may ganong personal pang experience.
It will paint a very questionable integrity of the House. If it's true, it will affect the integrity, the credibility of the House, if there's any.
Meanwhile, Ako Bicol Party List Representative Alfredo Garbin Jr. confirms the rumors but denies being offered any bribe. He calls for an investigation on the matter and defends the forum organized by the party list bloc for the front-runners.
Ang nakakarating sa akin ay kwento lang naman at ito'y wala pa naman na proof. But as to whether we were offered cash or monetary consideration to support them in their bid for speakership, wala naman hong ganon. Ang amin dyan ay siguro busisiin natin at mag-imbestiga tayo.
The House Speaker position is a coveted, mainly as it entails leading nearly 300 members of the lower house. As the lead lawmaker, he also sets the priorities for legislation and has the loudest voice in setting House rules. The Speaker of the House is also third in line to succeed the President of the Republic. The 18th Congress will open on July 22, and the lower house will vote on a new House Speaker in time for the President's State of the Nation address on the same day. For News 5, Patricia Mangune, we are One News.
Meanwhile, at the upper house, Senate President Tito Sotto is unfazed by speculations of a leadership shake-up given a supposed hugpong ng pagbabago bloc. Senate leaders are downplaying reports of Hugpong bloc in the chamber supposedly having 9 members. A consensus from the majority of 24 senators is needed to elect a new Senate president, and Sotto is confident he has enough support to keep him in place in coming the 18th Congress.
Are you sure of the 9?
That means, sir, yung ibang Senate.
Well, I know for a fact that I have the support of at least about 15 or 16.
Meanwhile, here are the biggest stories from the dailies. Filipino Star ngayon reports that Peter Advincula, also known as Bicoy, was a no-show during the Justice Department's hearing of the estafa complaint filed against him. Advincula also failed to send a representative in his stead. A certain Arven Valores filed a complaint against Advincula for using the name of his company Ardour World in a beauty pageant Advincula organized last year in Albay. Advincula also did not show up in the pageant and did not pay the production staff and the contest winners, forcing Valores to shoulder the expenses reaching 300,000 pesos. Meanwhile, in Sorsogon, fishermen from Barangay Bagakay Gubat hauled 40 blocks of cocaine from the sea. The fisherfolk tells Pangmasa that they found 12 boxes covered in garbage bag adrift. Authorities were called and bundles of cocaine were discovered, estimated to be worth over 200 million pesos. Now, this one from the Philippine Star, the Commission on Population says 18% of Filipinas want more access to modern contraceptives. Popcom says the demand comes from the poor and less educated communities. The Commission notes that one of the major reasons for unplanned pregnancies among poor women and couples is the lack of access to family planning, information, and services. Catcalling, whistling, and any form of slurs or sexist slurs are now punishable by law. That's after the Safe Space Act, which penalizes all forms of sexual harassment, has lapsed into law. Offenders may be fined from 1,000 to 100,000 pesos, depending on the violation, and are required to undergo gender sensitivity training. Now, despite the president not signing the bill, Senator Risa Ontiveros says this is a great move for women, members of the LGBTQ+ community, and even men who are experiencing harassment.
The law enables us na magreklamo sa isang PNP officer on the street or isang PNP deputized personnel, halimbawa dito sa Metro Manila, MMDA, na kapag meron tayong gustong ireklamo, pwede tayong magreklamo sa kanila, pwede silang mag-issue ng ticket dun sa suspected offender, parang ticket sa traffic violation o ticket sa paglabag ng Solid Waste Management Act. At gusto natin na baguhin din yung kultura ng mga aktual o potensyal na sexual harassers para matutunan ng ating lipunan na hindi katanggap-tanggap yung ganitong sexual harassment. Hindi nag-materialize ang worst case scenario para sa anumang panukala na ma-veto ito. It would have been best really kung mayroong pirma, pero gayon pa man, kahit wala, now we can continue to address situations.
Meat importers are protesting the temporary ban on the importation of meat products, while a group of supermarket owners say the ban may have come too late. Shaila Francisco has the story.
Retailers have started to check and pull out pork meat products in their supermarkets and stores. This comes after the Food and Drug Administration ordered the recall of these products to prevent the entry of African swine fever in the country. The FDA's order now covers all pork meat products. The temporary ban on the importation and sale of these goods now covers 16 countries.
This is food security. We have to make sure that the food supply in our country is uninterrupted, na walang threat dito.
But some supermarket owners believe it may be too late.
Johnny too lately, di ba? Kumbaga, masyadong late na, tsaka lang sila nag-ano. What do I mean? Had they taken care of this earlier, which I felt they were probably aware already, the DA, hindi na napasok sana itong mga produktong galing doon. Parang wala nang soli-soli.
For some stores, Cuba says, it would be difficult to return the goods to suppliers.
I'm sure nabayaran na part of their stock, di ba? Tapos to find out that some of them, not all of them, but some of them will have to be returned. How will they deal with the supplier? I mean, matagal na usapan na naman yan, di ba?
Meat importers, meanwhile, are also not satisfied with the planned appeal by hog raisers to President Duterte to issue a 2-month suspension of imports in high-risk countries, including those nearby affected areas.
The approach has to be scientific. Okay? Ang problema ngayon is nagiging speculative na lang. We are being overtaken by the emotions, especially for the hog raisers. And I think the hog raisers, they're also taking advantage of this situation to introduce some protectionist measures, which is, wag naman, kawawa ang consumer.
Aside from possible layoffs, Cham warns that this would hurt consumers the most, especially the poor who are used to buying cheap cuts of meat that may become more expensive. For now, the DA is drafting a list of high-risk countries, which will be added to the possible ban.
You have to understand the dangers of this disease if it affects our industry. We are looking at the effect of the move on prices. But ang tanong namin dyan, ano ang i-prioritize natin? Yung 1 o 2 pisong pagtaas ng presyo ng baboy o yung pagkasira ng buong industriya na nakakahalaga ng 2 bilyon at saka hanap buhay ng ating mga magsasaka?
Shaila Francisco, We Are One News.
Well, it's not yet too late to bring your umbrellas, especially if you're up north. Ilocos Region, Cordillera, Cagayan Valley, and some central Luzon areas will experience scattered rain and thunderstorms because of a frontal system. Meanwhile, other parts of the country may only experience cloudy skies with localized thunderstorms. Let's fast break now to Sports Rush. It's time to put the metal to the pedal as the Tour de Filipinas is setting the stage for the 10th celebration of cycling in the Philippines. And this time, it's going to be a 5-day race. Paulo Del Rosario will tell us more.
It is time to hit the road once again for the Tour de Filipinas, the country's premier cycling event. For 9 years, the Tour held 4-day events that stretch from as far north as Pagudpod and as far south as Sorsogon. This year, to celebrate a decade of racing, the Tour will be staged over 5 days. The first stage will see cyclists travel to Tagaytay before snaking through Lucena City to Daet, Camarines Sur for Stage 2. Stage 3 will kick off from Daet going to Legazpi City, while Stage 4 will go from Legazpi City via Sorsogon and Gubat and back to the Albay capital. The final stage will see racers out and back to Legazpi City, but this time via Donsol in Sorsogon, all for a total of 822.20 kilometers. The race will see 75 racers from 15 teams competing for the top prize. The Tour de Filipinas kicks off on June 14 with One Sports and Signal returning as its official broadcast partner. For One Sports, Paulo De Rosario. We are One News.
And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again next time for another round of Rush. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.